From Citi Field in New York, it's Mets baseball this afternoon on SNY as the New York Mets play host to the Washington Nationals, looking to avoid the sweep today. And it is an early start, a gorgeous day, camp day, as the buses pull on in. Lots of kids in the crowd today, and it's a perfect day for baseball. Who knows, maybe some future Mets warming up in the parking lot. Mets looking for pitching. Maybe that could be where they go. Hi, everyone. I'm Kevin Burkhardt. Welcome to the broadcast this afternoon. Picture-perfect day for baseball, but right now there haven't been too many picture-perfect baseball games for the Mets. It's amazing how things have changed for this team. Think about where they were on the road just for the All-Star break. They took 3 or 4 from the Dodgers, feeling good about themselves in the mix. And now it's gone from that to desperation. They are 1-10 since the All-Star break. They've lost 5 in a row and 11 of 12. Right now, 10.5 games behind the first-place Washington Nationals. And in this stretch since the break, things have simply not gone well. I mean, the bullpen had been struggling for a couple months. Now the starting pitching hasn't been exactly up to par, at least where it was. Hitting has suffered a little bit, too. All facets of the game just suffering for the Mets. And think about all the things that have happened, too. Injuries to Dylan G. Injuries to Johan Santana. This Mets team is free-falling right now, and they need a victory in the worst way, 6 games out of the wild card. Today won't be easy to avoid the sweep. They've got the Nationals ace and stud Steven Strasburg on the mound today. Leads the league with 140 strikeouts. The All-Star has been flat-out dominant. A lot of talk about his innings limit, but when he's been out there, he's been great. He had 6 shutout innings against the Mets, his only time facing him this year. For the Mets, the tall task of facing Strasburg goes to Jeremy Hefner. Makes his first start since early June when he faced these same Washington Nationals. Pitched well in that game, but lost. But it's up to the task, up to him. Try to Mets get on the plane for a long road trip and get a victory today. We come back, we'll talk to Mets third base coach Tim Tuffle. Take a temperature of this Mets team. Mets and Nationals on a great day for baseball. First pitch is coming up. Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Geico, by Audi, Truth and Engineering, by Parts Authority, Auto Parts Superstores, where the answer is always yes, by Nissan. Get to Nissan for the biggest savings under the sun. On Nissan Summer Saving Days, visit ChooseNissan.com or your local Nissan dealer. And by AT NYN, rethink possible. Joined now by Mets third base coach Tim Tuffle. And Tim, as a coach, when you're in a stretch like this, do you have to always gauge the temperature just to make sure that guys don't start believing in the losing part of it?
Well, you know, you come to the ballpark, and as coaches, we're just going to be as positive as we can. We can't be hanging our heads. You know, it sets a bad tone for the day, and you know, we come here with the expectation to win every day. So that's the attitude that we bring. TC comes into the yard, he comes into the coach's room, and is all up tempo, and it's like a new day, and let's go. Let's play ball.
This team has grinded it out all year long. They've been very good coming back after tough losses. Are you sensing, though, that attitude is still here? Are you worried that there could be a malaise creeping in at this point?
Well, you know, at this point, we're looking for some timing. You know, it's either a well-pitched inning, a timely hit, an aggressive base running play, a good defensive play. That's what we're looking for, and I think, you know, throughout the course of this streak, we've missed that. We've missed that one timely hit, that one great catch, that you know, maybe that shutout inning where we need it. So it's just a matter of timing at this point. And we know we're close. You know, we've had some really close games. We've had some back and forth opportunities to close out a game, to win a game, and you know, we're waiting for that one spark, and that's what it really takes sometimes. And when it happens, maybe it comes in bunches for us.
Interesting you mentioned that. Before we let you go, does that affect you? You talked about aggressive base running. Does that mean, you know, at third base, will you be a little bit more aggressive, just trying to get that one run that maybe you need?
Well, the game really speaks for itself. You know, the other night where, you know, there's an opportunity possibly to send a guy in a key spot, and you know, I'm looking for those opportunities all the time. You know. But, you know, if David Wright's hitting it, you know, coming up, and I'm not going to force a play if he's up at the plate, you know, I'm still going to play the game the way it's supposed to be played, and use my judgment accordingly.
Tim, best of luck today. Thanks for the time.
Thanks so much.
Tim Tuffle joining us. Mets get set for the Nationals. Gary Cohen and Keith Hernandez have the call. First pitch is coming your way next on SNY.
Day baseball at Citi Field as the Mets and Nats get set to wrap up their 3-game series. Gary Cohen, Keith Hernandez with you. Thanks to Kevin for doing a fine job opening the broadcast.
We always appreciate Kevin chipping in. What a team guy.
We got to sleep 5 minutes later as a result of that. As your Ford National starting lineup, and Davey Johnson not altering much as he tries to put the hammer down in this series as the Nats try and sweep 3 for the Mets here at Citi Field. And Jeremy Hefner will take the start for the Mets, taking Johan Santana's spot in the rotation.
Well, 1-3 on the year. This is his 4th start, his 13th appearance. And Jeremy's a guy that throws strikes. Only 4 walks in 32 in a 3rd innings. Curveball, sinker, changeup. He's got all the pitches, not overpowering. Had a loss against the Nationals back on June 6th at D.C. And we'll take a look at the Lexus Metropolitan defense. 8 start in right field for Neuenhuis. Torres in center field. Why all the left-hand hitters? Well, Strasburg, who was the starter for the Nationals this year, has a big discrepancy. Right-handers hitting 181 against Strasburg. Lefties 281. So thus the left-hand hitting lineup for the Mets.
Valdespin in left field, giving Jason Bay the day off. Valdespin after hitting another pinch hit home run last night to set a Mets club record. Steve Lombardozzi will lead off for the Nats, 2 for 10 in this series, hitting a .263 for the year. Much better left-hand hitter than right. And Jeremy Hefner's first pitch of the afternoon is a fastball in for a strike, and we're underway at Citi Field. 12-11 first pitch.
Love it.
It's an early day. And an early swing by Lombardozzi. Murphy makes the play, and that's the first out of the afternoon. 80 degrees at game time. Perfectly beautiful blue skies. One of the 10 best days of the year this afternoon at Citi Field.
It's just been incredible, the weather. It's like a California day.
All the humidity gone after last night. Here's Bryce Harper. Harper 2 for 8 in the series. He had a 2-run homer that provided the keynote in this series on Monday night against Chris Young.
He drove in 3 runs in that first ball game.
Had a rougher time last night against R.A. Dickey, striking out 3 times, and he takes ball 1 from Hefner. Harper, just 19 years old, hitting a .268, 9 homers, 29 RBIs. Close to 300 at bats now in the major leagues. And Hefner falls behind him 2-0. Jeremy Hefner making his 4th start, his 2nd against the Nats. In fact, his last start was against the Nats. That was on June the 6th in D.C. Lost the game 5-3. Actually pitched very well after the first inning in that game. Gave up a 3-run homer to Adam LaRoche in the first, and then settled in and gave the Mets 6 solid innings. Harper drives one to left center field, and that's up the gap and going to the wall. Torres plays the carom, and Harper pulls it to second base with a 1-out double.
Well, this is one of the positives of Bryce Harper, is that he can go the other way. There's a slider out on the outside corner, not the least bit fooled. Up in the strike zone, and just hits it right where it's pitched. I mean, he just like hit a bullet out to left center field. And that just gets no downward tilt. It stays on the same plane. And that's just good hitting.
So Harper's in scoring position with 1 out, and now Ryan Zimmerman, who stays red hot in this series, has gone 4 for 10. He's hitting .413 in the month of July with 9 home runs this month and 22 driven in.
He's been going the other way. You recall last series, a couple series ago, when he was struggling coming off the DL, he was pulling too much. Well, as a result, now his success is because he's been driving the ball to the opposite field.
Fastball strike to Zimmerman, and it's 0-2. Adam LaRoche waits on deck. The Nats have won 4 straight. They're now 18 games over 500. They lead the National League East by 4.5 over the Braves, and now 10.5 over the Mets. And Davey Johnson's team has the best record in the National League. Here's the 0-2 from Hefner, and he gets Zimmerman on strikes for the 2nd out.
Well, Zimmerman kind of looked at Hefner in disbelief. Right down the middle, up in the strike zone.
That's That's the way the National League East looks. Mets sinking fast. Now just 2 games in front of the Marlins, who are unloading, and 3.5 in front of the Phillies, who look like they're reloading. 2 big moves made overnight involving National League East teams. The Marlins trading Hanley Ramirez to the Dodgers, and the Phillies signing Cole Hamels to a huge contract, 6 years, $144 million, to hang on to their talented lefty. Here's Adam LaRoche, who's 3 for 6 in this series, including the big home run last night off Dickey, and he takes a curveball for a strike.
And as you said, a 2 for 3 off Hefner in that June 6th game, and the 3-run shot in the first inning that did Hefner and the Mets in. Home run last night off R.A. Dickey put the Nationals ahead, a 2-run shot for good.
Yeah, he crushed that ball last night, hit it well up in the Pepsi porch in right field. Here's the 0-1 from Hefner, and he crowds LaRoche, a ball and a strike.
Interesting, Adam LaRoche's father was a left-hand relief pitcher, a knuckleball pitcher himself later in his career, and his son turns out to be a hitter. Always find that interesting.
Adam's brother Andy also played in the big leagues, played some third base for the Dodgers and the Pirates, and he's late on that fastball by Hefner, and it's 1-2.
Hefner's running up there at 89 right now. He's strong.
Sometimes the bats are a little slow for these early day games. Michael Morse waits on deck. Harper at second and 2 down. And Hefner with the 1-2, and the curveball misses. 2-2. This was last night.
Well, the knuckleball that didn't knuckle and down right in the zone. Right in the zone for LaRoche, down over the middle.
And that's what Dickey said after the game last night, too. He said it wasn't a bad knuckleball. He said it was just right in LaRoche's swing plane.
I didn't feel that R.A. had a good knuckleball. A good pitch inside to get him.
So back-to-back strikeouts for Hefner to take care of the Nats in the top of the first. Mets come to bat in the bottom against Steven Strasburg. Let's check out the Geico starting lineup for the Mets this afternoon. And as Keith referenced, the Mets have every available left-handed bat in the lineup today. Andres Torres drops down to the 8-hole. Jordani Valdespin slides into second. Ruben Tejada back in the lineup after missing a game following getting spiked on Monday, as the Mets take on Steven Strasburg for the second time this year.
Well, let me tell you, this guy, 8th in ERA, 9th in wins, first in strikeouts, 140, first in strikeouts per 9 innings, and that's at 11.4. Hardest thrower on the radar gun in Major League Baseball today. 98 miles per hour is his average, and that is bringing it.
You forgot first in conversations about how many innings he'll pitch this year.
Yeah, it's true.
Ruben Tejada leads off, 3 for 5 in this series, hitting .316 on the year, and Strasburg dents the outside corner, 0-1. Strasburg just turned 24 years old. In fact, he pitched on his 24th birthday Friday, and it didn't go well against the Braves. He was staked to a 9-0 lead, gave up 4 runs in 5 1/3, and the Nats would eventually squander all of that 9-0 lead and lose the game in extra innings. In fact, Strasburg lately has been a little more human. His last 5 starts, 1-3 with a 4.1 ERA. Number 1 overall pick in the draft in 2009, made it to the big leagues in 2010, made 12 starts that year, then went down with Tommy John surgery, came back, made 5 starts last year, and this year trying to pitch his first full season, and he blows away Tejada on 3 pitches for his first out.
Well, this is quick work, and that's just a fastball right down the pipe. He's just saying right here, I'm throwing hard and I don't care about corners. Try to catch up with it.
Last year, when he came back from the Tommy John surgery, Strasburg was throwing his fastball over 70% of the time. He's mixing in his curveball and changeup more this year, and his strikeout numbers have been off the charts. Here's Valdespin making his 16th start, playing left field today after hitting a pinch hit home run last night. His 5th, setting a Mets club record for a single season, and he takes a strike.
Well, this will be a good test for Valdespin. He has earned his way into the lineup and more playing time. He has been absolutely fantastic.
He's had 92 at bats. He's driven in 21 runs, and he chops one for Espinosa at shortstop, and that's the second out. Well, Valdespin last night provided the only bright spot in an otherwise bleak tableau for the Mets.
Well, here's the home run. He got ahead in the count, and Matthews tried to throw a little sinker, left it up out over the plate, and that was a line drive 2-iron.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now David Wright, who's 1 for 8 in this series. One was a home run on Monday night. Hitting at .344 for the year, 4th in the National League, 67 RBIs, tied for 3rd in the league. As his outstanding 2012 continues amidst the Mets losing streak, and he takes the first curveball from Strasburg for a strike.
And the Coors Light national defense. 9th start for Espinosa at shortstop. Of course, Ian Desmond, the starting shortstop, out on the DL. And Espinosa has proven quite a depth at shortstop, Garrett. You mentioned you saw them in the national series. I didn't make that series on the road, and you were quite impressed with his glove at short.
Well, it makes you think about what Davey might do when Desmond's ready to come back, because, you know, Espinosa looks more comfortable at short than at second. Lombardozzi looks more comfortable at second than in left field. Maybe they take Ian Desmond with his athleticism and make him an outfielder.
And it could be.
Here's the 1-2 to right, and a fastball, strike 3 called. So Strasburg makes quick work of the Mets in the opening inning. A couple of strikeouts. A 9-pitch inning for Strasburg. We go to the second. Ralph Kiner will join us in the booth when we come back. Subscribe to MLB.tv today to see every Mets out-of-market game live online and on your favorite devices in HD quality. Visit Mets.com to order and get more details. MLB.tv. Baseball everywhere. Second inning with no score, and Ralph Kiner joins us in the booth as we start the second with Michael Morse leading off. How you doing, Ralph?
Oh, it's good to be back with you, Gary, and also you, Keith. Enjoyed your commentary throughout the years. One thing, though, about Gary, when the Dodgers moved to L.A., I got a whole new switch on the story. I was there at the time and doing the place, but the reason why the Dodgers this is the only reason why the Dodgers. They moved to L.A. because they were going to get pay TV. And a guy named Blacksack Smith fought it so hard that they had a referendum and stopped the Dodgers from that.
Morris hits one deep to right, back at the wall. It's out of here. Wow. Michael Morris with an opposite field home run to open the scoring, his 7th home run of the year, and it's 1-0 Washington. So Morris showing off his power the other way, his 2nd home run in this series. They missed him for the first couple of months of the season, but what an element he has added to their batting order.
Well, they came into the game hitting .296, both .296 against lefties and righties, so hits them both, and he likes to go the other way. You really got to crowd him.
So Hefner gives up the home run to Morris. Now Danny Espinosa takes a hack and misses.
Fastball away. Oh, right down the middle. And you see, that's a ball that he could have pulled or, pulled it or gone the opposite field. But Morse likes to go into right center field, the opposite field.
Well, the Nats have now hit 4 home runs in this series as Espinosa fouls it back.
Well, the Nats have really done a wonderful job. Ted Lerner, who owns a ball club, is a good friend of mine. He spends his time in Palm Springs when I was living there. And my son, Michael, built his house, and Michael plays tennis with him all the time in a place called Thunderbird Country Club in Palm Springs.
Ralph, you've had a chance to watch this Mets team during its good times this year and during these last couple of weeks when they've struggled. What have your impressions been?
Well, the Mets have, of course, I think, played way over the heads in the early part of the year. Of course, they were playing wonderful baseball, and they were leading the major leagues. And the fact that they were scoring so many runs with 2 men out, that's a hard part of the game, and the Mets did that. And then the All-Star game came around, and they sort of dropped to a position that most people picked, where they finished not in the first division.
Your feelings, Ralph, on what went awry with Duda?
Well, Duda, you and I both said the same thing one time about a month and a half ago. They had a good swing, but the swing went down the drain. And he was taking so many fastballs, and then we got the count against him, and he was then swinging badly at pitches he should never have swung at.
Espinosa takes high, and it's 1-2.
Another guy on the team that's doing that is Jason Bay. My God, Jason Bay takes all kinds of first pitch strikes that are fastballs, and he takes them as though he's looking for a curveball. And he doesn't get the curveball, he gets the fastball. And he takes that pitch to strike one. And when you hit behind in the count constantly, you're not going to give yourself a real good chance to have a good day.
Ralph, when you have a player like Duda, who's had a little bit of big league success and then he struggles and gets sent down, what's the effect of that on a player, in your experience?
Well, I think the whole fact that he had to play a position he was not used to, and he was a first baseman basically, and he did not play the outfield well, I think that had something to do with his outfield play. And then he got into a point where he was pushing on that and then was going after bad pitches. The whole game of baseball is to get good pitches to hit. And you got to guess. And you were talking about that, Gary, a lot of time. The guys don't guess that much. I'll tell you, you got to guess or you're going to hit. You got to look for pitches.
Espinosa hits one deep down the right field line, headed toward the Pepsi porch, and that's out of here. Back-to-back home runs from the Nationals. Morrison now, Espinosa go deep, and it's 2-0 Washington. Number 9 for Danny Espinosa. A 10-pitch at bat, and he gets the best of Jeremy Hefner, and the Nats go back-to-back.
Well, fastball in, not in enough. Two-seamer. And Espinosa, who was struggling really mightily early in the year. I remember talking with Davey Johnson how he was a big out, and Davey said, you know what, he'll come around. And sure enough, he has caught fire. He's got an 11-game hitting streak now.
And I wonder how much that has to do with him moving over to play shortstop. You know, Ralph was just talking about a guy playing out of position and maybe that affecting his offense. Espinosa is a decent second baseman, but he clearly looks at home at shortstop, and he started to hit ever since he moved over.
You know, getting back to the fact that you got to guess, actually a better word, a nicer word, is anticipate.
Yes, agreed.
I talked with Ted Williams and Ted Williams at the Hall of Fame one year. I said to him, do you guess when you hit? He says, I guess I guessed. And you got to guess. I mean, you got to anticipate the pitches. And then when you get down to 2 strikes, that's when you go defense. And you want to put the bat in the ball and put the ball in play. But until you get 2 strikes, you don't do that.
That ball stays fair. Bernardina never bothered running, and that's the first out of the inning. Bernardina had just hit a foul ball that was barely foul and didn't run. This time he hits one that's barely fair, and he still didn't run.
Ralph, that is a great word you use. That's how my father taught me, and he said, okay, if a guy's throwing you a breaking ball or got you out, he goes, you can speed on a fastball mode, but be in anticipation of a breaking ball. Therefore, you're not going to get set up and take a fastball. We see so many guys taking fastballs today.
Well, so, Ted Williams is one of the great hitters of all time.
Davis handles this one, and Sandy Leon is retired, 2 out.
And the thing about Ted Williams was that he would set up pitches all the time. And if you don't get the pitch, you take the pitch, and it's strike 1. So what? You got 2 more coming. But when you go down to 2 strikes, that's when you have to get defensive. And Ted Williams and I also did the same thing. I hit with 2 strikes off the slider. And I look for the slider, and I could still hit the fastball. I had the hands that could move fast enough to get the fastball, even though I was looking for a hard-breaking curve or a slider.
Do you think most hitters go the other way and look fastball and try to adjust to the breaking ball?
Well, you do that when the minor leagues comes along and you hit fastballs. If you can't hit a fastball, you can't get to the major leagues.
Correct.
Steven Strasburg having an outstanding year with the bat. He's hitting at .357. He has 10 hits, and 5 of the 10 have been for extra bases.
4 doubles and a home run, and 3 walks, too. 10 for 28, so he does it all, this kid. And Ralph, you are always a proponent like myself, standing on top of the plate. And look where Strasburg is standing. He's standing very close to the plate.
I'll tell you, good hitters stand on top of the plate.
Hefner strikes out Strasburg with a slider. So Hefner has his 3rd strikeout, but the Nats strike with back-to-back home runs. Michael Morse taking one the other way for his 7th of the year, and then Danny Espinosa going up in the Pepsi porch for his 9th. 2-0 Nats in the 2nd. On SNY is brought to you by Cholula Hot Sauce. Visit the concession stands behind sections 137 and 431 at Citi Field to try the all-new flamethrower tenders and the Chipotle chicken sandwich. Cholula Hot Sauce, the flavorful hot sauce with the iconic wooden cap. Tickets for the soccer match at Citi Field featuring the national teams from Ecuador and Chile on Wednesday, August 15th at 8 p.m. are on sale now. Call 718-507-TIXX or visit tickets.com now for your tickets. Mets down 2-0 as they come to bat against Steven Strasburg in the bottom of the second. Ike Davis leads off. Ike is 2 for 8 in this series, including a home run, and he drives one down the line toward the pole, and it's out of here. That one got out in a second and a half. Ike Davis with his 16th home run of the year to get the Mets on the board. It's now 2-1 Washington. It's reminiscent of the home run that Ike hit on Monday night.
Yes.
When he took Mike Gonzalez deep on the first pitch he saw.
First pitch fastball right down the middle and down.
So Strasburg, who had only given up 9 home runs this season in 110 innings, yields the first pitch home run to Ike Davis, and now Daniel Murphy steps in, and he drives one into right field, a base hit. So the Mets attacking early against Strasburg here in the second. Back-to-back first pitch hits for Davis and Murphy.
Well, Murphy really continues his hot streak. He has been so hot. And in that groove, and he gets that, I guess you call that a fastball.
Yes. Interesting that Murph is hitting over 500 for the month of July at home, and looks like he's going to get a lot now. 23 for 41 at Citi Field in the month of July. That's pretty outstanding.
No Met player has ever hit over 500 at home in any month, and Murph has a chance to be the first one to do that. Kirk Neuenhuis 0 for 2 in this series, and he takes a fastball wide, 2-1.
I think you'll start seeing Strasburg now mixing him up first pitch, not pouring in that fastball first strike.
Well, the one thing about Strasburg is the fact he has a great curveball.
Yes.
Fastball rolled out to second. Lombardozzi with the flip, and Espinoza turns it over for the 4-6-3 double play.
The pitcher's best friend. Nothing Murph can do. Just can't get there in time. Ball hit too hard.
So 2 out and nobody on after the Davis home run, and now here's Josh Thole, 1 for 3 in this series, hitting at 274.
Pardon me, I'm sorry, Gary. The one thing about Strasburg is the fact that they compare him to Bob Feller, who was the hardest thrower I ever saw, and also the Nolan Ryan and people like that. And their fastballs are great, but they also had great curveballs. And the curveball sets up the fastball, even though the fastball is a great pitch. But the curveball is the one that all people that play baseball in the major leagues fear. The curveball is the pitch that puts so many guys back to work.
Well, if you've got the blazing fastball and you've got an above average to and a great breaking ball, then you're Hall of Fame stuff.
That's right.
And it's a matter of getting it over. You get it over, you got the package.
Now, the one thing about the fastball is it's got to move. It cannot be straight.
Zimmerman scoops and fires to get Thole, and that retires the side. Mets get a run on Ike Davis's first pitch attack against Steven Strasburg. Number 16 for Ike as he takes over the club lead. Cuts the Nats lead to 2-1 after 2. The Marlins trading Hanley Ramirez to the Dodgers, getting back Nathan Eovaldi, but most importantly, getting rid of the last 2 years of Hanley's contract. A-Rod takes a ball on his left hand from Felix Hernandez. He's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks. And the Phillies dug deep, $144 million for 6 years to re-sign Cole Hamels and keep him away from free agents.
Everybody thought Cole Hamels would want to go back to the West Coast. Well, he likes it in Philadelphia.
I felt all along as though the Phillies were going to have to do whatever they could to keep him. You know, you look at as Lombardozzi nearly takes out Hefner on the way through the middle, and Lombardozzi has a leadoff hit. I mean, they've got so much invested in older players on that team, and he was the one young star that, you know, they needed to tie up for the long term, and now they've done that. I mean, you look at the money they have invested in Rollins and Howard and Cliff Lee and Roy Halladay, all of whom are older players.
Utley.
You know, the one thing about the Phillies is they pack that house every day. I mean, they sell out every game. And so they have the money.
It's going to be interesting to see what they do now, because, you know, they've been playing better lately since Utley and Howard and Halladay came back, but they're still 14 games out, 10 games out in the wild card. And you wonder, are they going to, you know, try and make a run for it? Or are they going to try and sell off some of their assets, like, say, Victorino, who's going to be a free agent at the end of the year?
And a good ball player. He is a real good baseball player.
I wouldn't mind getting a Victorino over here in a Met uniform.
Well, you can play center field, that's for sure. And the Mets have a need for a center fielder.
Do you mean for 2 months, or you mean for the long term?
A long term. I mean, give the Mets some speed at the top.
He's not a spring chicken, though.
I understand.
Well, Ron Darling was like that. He's in Hawaiian.
I mean, you've already got a 34-year-old center fielder. I'm not sure you want another one.
I wonder how much age really plays into this. Suzuki of the was with the Seattle Ball Club is now with the Yankees, and he's not a young player.
Victorino will be 32 in November. 3-1 to Harper, and he hits it sharply, should be 2. Murphy has it go right through him, and everybody's safe. Taylor made double play ball, but Murphy mishandles it, and the Nats have 2 men on.
Well, let's take a look here. The ball came up a bit. Murph does everything right. He gets in front. He's using 2 hands. Just didn't make the play. A little bit of an up hop, not much.
Well, Murphy had a 29-game errorless streak come to an end the other day, and now he's made 2 errors on this homestand. So now 2 men aboard for Ryan Zimmerman, who struck out his first time up.
One thing about Harper, he hits the ball hard all the time, with the exception of last night. But it was a knuckleball pitcher that kept him from hitting the ball hard every time up.
What are your impressions about Harper overall, 19-year-old kid playing in the big leagues?
Well, he's got a chance to be one of the youngest players of all time to hit 300 and actually possibly lead the league in hitting at the age of 19. Got Al Kaline and Ty Cobb are up there at the top, and Kaline with the actually was the youngest player to lead the league in hitting in his first year in the major leagues.
Zimmerman pops it up, infield fly rule called, so the batter was out. That's the first out of the inning. So 2 on and 1 out. Here's Adam LaRoche, who struck out his first time up. Nats got back-to-back homers from Morrison Espinosa in the top of the second. Ike Davis responded with a home run of his own in the bottom of the second. And now LaRoche, who hit the 3-run homer against Hefner in Washington in his last start, bats here with 2 men on.
Struck him out on a fastball inside first at bat. Let's see if they change the program. Let's see if LaRoche makes an adjustment.
keeps it away for strike one.
You know, one of the players that hit well at 19 years of age was Rusty Staub. In fact, he's the one or two guys that had hit well as a teenager and also as a over 40 player in the history of baseball. Ty Cobb was the other.
Rusty, of course, came up as a 19-year-old with the Houston Colt 45s back in 1963.
Yep, and didn't Rusty have 500 hits for 4 teams?
He did. The Mets, the Astros, the Expos, and the Tigers. That's with the shift on against LaRoche, so Lombardozzi can't get any lead off second. And the breaking ball down, 1-2.
Well, I remember the one year Rusty went to Detroit and had, 79 RBIs or 71 at the All-Star break and didn't go to the All-Star game.
Well, Hank Greenberg once had 100 RBIs at the All-Star break and didn't go to the All-Star game.
And the thing about Hank Greenberg was his manager was the man that picked the team. But there was a guy named Lou Gehrig that made the team that year.
You didn't like Hank?
I don't know.
Jeez, he got 100 RBIs.
I would say, no, I don't think he liked it.
I got
What's
a guy
not to like?
If I imagine I got a guy driving in 100 runs, I'm going to send a car for him.
100 runs at the All-Star break. Was the record for runs batted in a single season.
Toley's thrown to third, and the tag on the overslide, and Lombardozzi is out. David Wright stayed with Lombardozzi as he came off the bag and makes the tag for the second out.
Well, Lombardozzi last night on a stolen base by Hairston, who came off the bag. He didn't keep the tag on the runner. On Hairston here, gets a reverse. Nicely done by David. And he comes off the bag. There's no excuse for that.
So on a potential wild pitch, Lombardozzi is out 2-5 for the second out. Harper moved up to second on the play. And the count 3-2 to LaRoche.
Is that ruled a pass ball?
No, because the runner was thrown out.
That's right. That's right. And there you are. He beats it. See David keeping the tag right on him. And he's clearly out. And that's a potential big play right there. Second and third, one out.
It's a good lesson for any infielder. Stay with that runner.
Good lesson for a base runner. Better slide.
And that too. Stay on the base. Strike 3 called, and LaRoche is out on strikes for the second time. Fourth strikeout for Hefner. 2-1 Washington in the third. during the summer. These 12:10 weekday afternoon starts, so all over the ballpark. Groups of campers in their colorful shirts. As the Mets come to bat in the home third, down 2-1. Andres Torres takes a strike. Torres hitting 8th in the order. He's in an 0 for 14 skid right now. His average down to 218 for the year. And Strasburg overpowers him 0-2.
Let's have a good crowd here today, and with Washington playing here. In the old days, Washington was first in war, first in peace, and last in the American League.
With two different Washington Senators franchises.
Quite a bit different.
First one that moved to Minnesota, and then the second one that moved to Texas. Now they're in the National League.
And Clark Griffith was the owner of the ball club in Washington, D.C. in the early days.
What's there to like about SNY on Facebook? A chance for you and 3 friends to watch a Mets game from one of the best seats in the house right here in the SNY broadcast booth while we broadcast live from the Pepsi porch. For a chance to win this unique opportunity, visit Facebook and like SNY today. So let me get this straight. We go out to the Pepsi porch to do a game, and the fans get to sit in our seats.
Up here?
Now, do they get to be part of the broadcast too?
Do they got to pay for it? Or just...
I don't know about that. You'll have to talk to the boss.
This is like a luxury box up here, or a booth.
Well, they don't have to pay for it. The question is, do they get paid? I just, do they give them microphones? Do we leave those here?
You're getting involved in unions, huh?
I'm just answering the question. 1-2 to half. When are we going back to the Pepsi porch? That's the next homestand?
I think so. Yeah. We the team comes back on the 5th, right? Monday the 5th of August.
Monday off.
So they open up, yeah.
Actually, Sunday is the 5th. Monday the 6th they're off. I think we're up there on the 8th.
I love it. I love it doing up there. I love it.
Gary used to do ball games from center field. And Lindsey Nelson one time did the baseball game in Houston from the top of the dome in the old ballpark. And nobody could figure out how he got Lindsey up there to do that. Someone said, well, the engineer went up there twice. One to take the microphone down and one to put it up.
Favorite question than how he got up there is how he got down.
Well, I think he fell down.
I hope not.
Well, that was up there. I mean, it was a long way up there. They asked for volunteers. Bob Murphy and they both did not volunteer.
Good for you. As I recall, the gondola that Lindsey was in fair territory, and
it was in play. It was a ground rule.
And Casey Stengel came out to home plate and said, "What about my man Lindsey? Is he a ground rule?" 3-2 to Hefner, and that's strike 3 called. So Strasburg has his 4th strikeout. 2 out and nobody on.
Of course, in the dome in Florida, the dome is in play. And you can make it out there, or you can make it home run.
What about at Tampa Bay?
Yeah, Tampa Bay.
Here's Ruben Tejada with 2 out and nobody on. Ruben struck out his first time up.
Parc Jerry had a lot of, not Parc, Stade Olympique in Montreal had issues.
That was a Olympic Stadium.
Yep. Well, remember when in opening day '88 when Darrell hit one off the ring in Montreal, they had the line painted up to the ring. But Ralph will remember this. A few years earlier, Kingman had hit one off that ring, and they called it a foul ball, which is why they drew the line.
And it was out of the ballpark. It went over the top of the dome set.
Was it the Astrodome that Mike Schmidt hit one off of one of the speakers that was hanging from the ceiling, and they didn't know quite how to roll it? It stayed in play. It would have been a serious bomb. It dropped in left center field.
There's that good curveball from Strasburg, and it's 0-2.
Of course, they also said about the Astrodome when the home team came up, they turned on the fans and wouldn't go up. And when the other team was up, the visiting team, they turned the fans off.
Strasburg strikes out the side in the 3rd inning. Second time he's gotten Tejada. That's 5 for Strasburg. Nats up 2-1 after 3. Friday, hear the latest from Rex Ryan, Mark Sanchez, and Tim Tebow straight from Cortland as the Jets get ready for camp on Jets Nation Inside Camp, presented by Melrose Credit Union. New episode Friday at 6:30, only on SNY. Michael Morris hits one out to right field, not as deep as the one he hit for the home run, and Neuenhuis able to make the catch. One pitch for Hefner, and one out in the 4th inning. Morris and Espinoza went back-to-back for the Nats in the 2nd inning. This was Espinoza's blast.
Well, in around mid-thigh. Espinoza is not a good high ball hitter from the left side of the plate. Got to pound him upstairs.
7 of his 9 home runs have now come as a left-hand batter, but he's hit for a much better average right-handed this year. And with that home run, now has an 11-game hitting streak as Hefner pours one over for a strike. So, Ralph, what was your favorite ballpark to hit in?
Well, outside of this Pittsburgh, the Ebbets Field was my favorite park, and it was pretty short in right field, very short in right field with a high fence.
Augustine watches that one bounce in fair territory and goes up in the stands. A ground rule double for Espinoza.
But the one thing that I liked about Ebbets Field was the fact that in left center field, that the fences were like 355 feet.
Who was the toughest pitcher starter that you faced for the Dodgers when you played the Dodgers?
Well, they always had a real good pitching staff, and we didn't see many left-handers because I was a right-hand batter. But I would say, gosh, I don't know. I would say Carl Erskine. He had a great change, and Branca, his first year, he was really a tough pitcher. He won 20 ball games when he was very young. And so Branca was tough there. But I would say, number one, Don Newcomb.
Yeah.
Because?
He had a great fastball and a great fastball and a great slider and good control. And he was one of the first black guys they brought up to the major leagues. They had another black guy, the first one that ever was brought up by Brooklyn named Bankhead.
First pitcher.
First pitcher, yes.
Bernardino with a base hit to right. Espinosa being held at third base by Bo Porter. And the Nats have runners at first and third. Interesting call there by Porter with the 8 and 9 hitters coming up. Not to send Espinosa.
Well, I think he made the right call. And Porter has, I've always thought, is one of the best third base coaches in the game today. Very aggressive. You very seldom see him hold someone up.
That was a real good example of a cutter right there. The ball was cut. That was once called a slider. Now it's not called a slider anymore, but a cutter.
Well, let's just take a peek here and see what his judgment is. He could have, I think his thoughts were probably, hey, first and third. I don't care if it's the 8th hitter. He's a professional hitter. He can get a sacrifice fly.
Also got Bernardino at first, who can steal a base. Right now the double play in order, so we'll see if he tries, and Hefner thinking that way as well. Sandy Leon, the number 8 hitter, switch hitting catcher, grounded out. Now, Ralph, you hit at Ebbets Field, and of course you were a right-hand pull hitter. And of course they had the sign on the right field wall that said hit, sign, win, suit. So did you ever try and hit the sign?
Well, the suit wasn't that good. So I didn't try at all. But the sign was put up there by Abe Stark, who was a councilman there in Brooklyn. And, of course, Furlow played in front of that sign, and we always thought that Furlow was paid off to stand in front of that sign and keep anyone from hitting the sign, so it was never hit.
Never?
Never hit.
So did Ferrello get a suit?
He got a whole mess of suits.
Bernardino almost leaning the wrong way that time. Well, our statistician Dave Freed looked up the stats, and you hit 30 home runs at Ebbets Field, which is the most you hit in any visiting ballpark.
He was a good dog to hit it, and also great fans in Ebbets Field.
Ike coming home for the tag play, but it gets away from Tolley, and Espinosa scores. Looked like they had it there in time, but it popped out of Tolley's mitt. And Espinosa scores to make it 3-1.
I'm not so sure, Gary, that I thought he might have got in ahead of the throw here. Is there a little bit of a double clutch there out of the glove? No, I was wrong there. Let's see. I thought he got in.
Yeah, looks safe in that replay.
But he may have been calling him out. Not a great break by Espinosa. Here we go. This will tell the tale right here. That's close as it gets.
Well, I'm not sure what the home plate umpire Jim Wolf was going to call, but the official scorer believes he was going to be out because he charges an error to Tolley, and it looks there like he got him, I think.
Okay.
If in the scorer's judgment he wasn't going to score, you just call it a fielder's choice. Strasburg pops up the bunt, and Ike makes the catch for the second out. So it's fielder's choice, and an error allowing the run to score.
And that takes away the RBI, right?
Second error of the game for the Mets.
Nice play by Ike there, aggressively charging. When runner's on first and second, the first baseman does not have to hold the runner on. So get in and put pressure on the pitcher, even though Strasburg is a good hitting pitcher.
367 as a hitting pitcher, and he has 1 home run and 5 runs batted in. He is an all-around player.
Here's Lombardozzi with 2 out and 2 on, and Hefner crowds him for ball 1. Let's check out our AT&T trivia question for today. Who was Mets manager before Davey Johnson?
I know that one.
Pulled down to first, and Davis handles that one to retire the side. But the Nats get an unearned run and lead 3-1 in the 4th. Slow Motion is brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Visit them on the web at searchmercedes.com. Strasburg throws hard even in slow motion. Tomorrow night, the Mets begin their 11-game road trip at Chase Field in Phoenix against the Diamondbacks. Matt Harvey makes his Major League debut. 9 o'clock the coverage tomorrow night. Mets and D-backs right here on SNY. And probably fitting that Harvey makes his debut against the best rookie pitcher in the National League this year, the lefty Wade Miley. He's had a terrific year for Arizona. Miley's 11-5, his ERA just over 3, and pitching in a hitter's ballpark. Jordani Valdespin will lead off in the home 4th inning. Valdespin grounded to short his first time up. Mets down 3-1.
And of course, Valdespin cannot add on to his pinch hit Met record of 5 pinch hit home runs. He's second highest total by a rookie in Major League history.
So that's the problem with pursuing those records. If you have enough success as a pinch hitter, they don't let you pinch hit anymore.
Exactly.
Especially as a young player.
And the Astros' Cliff Johnson has the all-time record of 20 pinch hit home runs. On second mode, I'm sorry, Matt Stairs has 23. He broke his record.
Little flamethrower, Steven Strasburg.
Well, you knew he was going to get it. There was no surprise there.
Drag bunt attempt, and it came off the bat about as hard as it came in.
It was like a line drive. The one thing Valdespin does well, Ralph, is he can drag bunt.
He does, yes, he does.
He's got around, I think, 3 or 4 base hits with the drag bunt. There, I said it again.
He's an excellent runner.
Well, that was the drag bunt. Fastball away.
That was a drag bunt home run.
I love day games. They're so relaxed.
How about the good old days when they played all-day baseball?
And a good changeup by Strasburg. 90-mile-an-hour changeup. Valdespin says he foul-tipped it, but Jim Wolf is having none of it.
Who was the first team who played night ball? Cincinnati Reds?
Yeah, I think the first.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think that was the first team to play night ball.
See that changeup grip from Strasburg.
That's one of the few he's thrown today so far, Gary. He's been primarily pouring in that fastball on the curve.
He's got 6 strikeouts today. That gives him 146 in 113 innings this year. Now David Wright, who went down looking his first time, and he takes a fastball for a strike. Well, we mentioned it earlier that last year when he came back from the Tommy John surgery, he was throwing that fastball more. And this year, significantly less, throwing his curve and changeup more.
And
that was a beautiful graphic, by the way. Very
it certainly was.
I like the orange especially.
I bet you this the 2011, because he was 74% fastball, is probably because he came off the surgery. But he's back to where he's at of 2010, 2012, very similar.
Interesting that in 2010 he threw his curve that much more before the Tommy John surgery, and I wonder whether the fact that he's thrown it less since is a concession to, you know, the vagaries of the elbow and not wanting to hurt it again. That one gets away on strike 3. And Leon makes the toss, and Wright is a strikeout victim.
Second
and
strikeout.
He goes away fluttering.
Second strikeout with the change. So David took 2 fastballs. I think 0-1 he was looking for a curve and took the fastball down in the hole. 0-2. Curveball in the dirt, then a changeup.
Well, Strasburg has now struck out the last 5 hitters, halfway to Tom Seaver's record. And here's Ike Davis, who's responsible for the Mets' run today. It'll pull it into the seats in right field for his 16th home run, leading off the second.
And that was the first pitch, fastball down and in. Let's see what Strasburg does here. Comes the cat and mouse game.
And a first pitch curveball for ball 1.
Seaver's record was 10.
Last 10 against
San Diego Padres. Yeah, 10 in a row.
You see the strikeouts by pitch for Strasburg. So even though he's throwing more fastballs than anything else,
he's very judicious.
Gets a lot of strikeouts with the curve and the changeup.
It's because all three of them are quality.
Yes, either way he wants to go.
Davis pops this one up right near the mound. Who's going to take it? And Lombardozzi taking charge. Side retired. 8 in a row retired by Strasburg. 3-1 Nats after 4. The Mets and Nats wrap up their series. Baseball in the sunshine and a sunny disposition for Michael Morse, who homered. So did Danny Espinosa. So did Ike Davis. Jeremy Hefner trying to keep pace with Steven Strasburg on a beautiful afternoon. Mets down 3-1 as we go to the 5th. Bryce Harper will lead off against Hefner, who's making his 4th big league start. And his first since the 6th of June, which was also against Washington in D.C. Bryce Harper's hit 2 bullets in this game, a double left center, and then a double play ball right at Daniel Murphy that went right through Murph for an error. And a first pitch curveball from Hefner for a strike. It'll be Harper, Zimmerman, and LaRoche 2, 3, and 4 in the order for this Nats offense that has just gotten better and better as the year's gone along. And Harper hits another ball hard, but right to Ike Davis for the first out.
Well, he puts good wood on that ball all the time. That kid's really going to be a good player.
Yep. Well, you're right about the offense improving, Garrett. And a lot had to do with when Harper came. They kind of sparked the ball club. And remember, they had some injuries early. They had Morse was out. He missed the first 50 ball games. Zimmerman was out for some time. Those are key hitters in your lineup.
#1 draft choice in baseball, and the Nationals really had 2 great drafts. One of them was Harper, and the other, of course, was Strasburg.
That's what you get for having the worst record 2 years in a row, coinciding with 2 once-in-a-generation type players. I mean, in both cases, any team in baseball would have made the same selections. It's not always as clear cut, but the Nats were in the right place at the right time.
You got to finish last. Huh?
Yeah. See, if they'd had the draft when you were playing in Pittsburgh, guys would have gotten better in a hurry.
I'm glad you think that way.
He might have gotten a Harper or a Strasburg.
They had no draft when I was playing. You signed with free agents as the background for your ability to get money to sign. I signed my contract for $3,000, and that was my bonus, and I was the highest paid bonus player out of Southern California at that time. A scout named Bill Essex, who signed Joe DiMaggio, was the man who offered me a scholarship at USC, as a matter of fact, or a $3,000 contract.
As a young player then, because there was no draft, was there a lot of bidding that went on between teams?
Well, the thing about years ago, the players that made the major leagues were sold to the major leagues by their minor league teams. And this is something nobody ever talks about. And the minor leagues made their money on selling players to the major league teams.
Murphy stays with it, battling the sun, and retires Zimmerman for the second out.
And the whole thing about that was the farm system started, and the Yankees, Detroit, and St. Louis were involved in signing a lot of players to their major league rosters so they could keep those players in their possession.
And that was the beginning of the modern farm system.
One time the Dodgers had something like 600 players under control.
Well, that time you had not only single A, double A, triple A, you had B and Class C and Class D.
D, and the highest was double A, not triple A. And then the Pacific Coast League went into having open classification, and the major leagues could not draft their players.
I don't know. I mean, I wasn't around there, but I can imagine that, being assigned to Class D, that might hurt your feelings.
Most people started in Class D,
Yeah.
and in fact, when they talked to me, the Yankees were trying to sign me. And when they talked to me, the scout that signed me, Hollis Thurston, said, "Don't sign with the Yankees. You'll stay in the minor league 7 years. You work you up 10, C, B, and A. A1, double A." So and I took his advice, and I signed with Pittsburgh, and if it hadn't been for the war, World War II, I would have been up in maybe 3 years. In the major leagues, I'm talking about.
What was your rookie year, Ralph, again?
Well, my rookie year in the minor leagues is 1941. My rookie year was after the war, 1946.
2-2 to LaRoche, and he gets him. Good changeup by Hefner to finish the inning. Well, Ralph, very entertaining stuff today. Thanks so much for joining us.
Well, it's good to be with you guys again. I'll see you in August.
Washington. Here's your Subway Mets upcoming schedule. You can listen to every Mets game on Sports Radio 66 WFAN. Mets begin their road trip in Arizona tomorrow night. 11 games, 4 in Arizona, 4 in San Francisco, and 3 in San Diego before the Mets get home to play the Marlins in a couple of weeks. Daniel Murphy leads off in the home 5th inning with the Mets down 3-1. Murph has one of the Mets' 2 hits against Strasburg, a single to right in the 2nd. Well, Murphy now 12 for 19 on this homestand, and this month at Citi Field hitting .561. And it's almost a lock now to become the first Met ever to hit .500 at home in a given month. The record for the Mets belongs to Darrell Hamilton in his first month as a Met in August of 1999. He hit .486.
I remember that.
Bouncing ball on the right side. LaRoche ranging wide. And lead pass almost too far for Strasburg, but he made the nice stretch for the first out.
This is always a play where I always put myself in I felt like I was a quarterback and you're throwing a little look-in over the middle to the pitcher running and covering the bag. It's a pass pattern.
Here's the thing. They don't call it a look-in anymore. Now they call it a slant.
Okay, whatever.
No, I like the look-in and the button hook. Right?
And the drag button.
Now you're mixing your metaphors. I remember the set shot, too.
Yes.
Here's Kirk Neuenhuis, who grounded into a double play his first time. And Strasburg gets the curveball over.
In the old free throw shooting, like Rick Barry, would they call that the basket throw? What was the name of that?
The underhand shot?
Didn't Bailey Howell?
Well, Wilt tried it for a while.
Wilt did, but I thought, could be wrong. Remember Bailey Howell? I think maybe Bailey Howell did it too. I'm not sure.
I just always wondered. It's kind of like we talk about with Barry Bonds, how he choked up and nobody else did. Barry was so successful shooting free throws. I always wondered why nobody else tried it.
Yep.
He was over 90% every year.
He was terrific. And a great defender, too. He was always on the all-star defense team.
Josh Tolley on deck.
No one ever remembers that Jerry West was always on the all-star defensive team.
See, you remember watching Rick Barry as a Warrior. I remember watching him as a Net.
I watched him
at the Island Garden. 4,000 seats.
I watched Rick Barry when he was young, and he used to drive to the basket as well as shoot from the outside.
2-2 to Neuenhuis. Tries to lay off the changeup, and he stopped it in time. A full count to Kirk.
And I remember I had a conversation with Rick, and he stopped driving, he said, because he would go in there, because he was a slender guy, 6'7", very quick. He said, I just got beat up driving to the hoop. I just said, heck with that. I'm going to shoot from the outside.
He's a great shooter. And fastball's on the outside corner. Neuenhuis down looking. And that is 8 strikeouts now for Strasburg.
Tell you what, I like the umpire crews we've been saying. That's borderline low. If you got a reputation, you're not going to get. You're going to get that call if you're the hitter. It's too close to take.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now Josh Tolley, who grounded out to third his first time up. And he takes a fastball for a strike. Strasburg averaging 11.4 strikeouts per 9 innings. And you see he's kept his pitch count very low today, despite all the strikeouts, which is hard to do. Gio Gonzalez, who pitched last night, is averaging 10.1 strikeouts per 9 innings. There have been only 3 sets of teammates in history who have averaged double-digit strikeouts per 9 innings over the course of a full season. Randy Johnson and Curt Schilling did it twice.
Right.
Mark Pryor and Kerry Wood did it in 03 with the Cubs. And those are the only times that's ever happened in Major League history. So if Strasburg and Gonzalez keep it up, they will be the 4th. Of course, Strasburg would have to qualify for the ERA title for that to count, which means he'd have to throw 162 innings, which would be 2 over his prescribed limit.
And they are going to shut him down no matter what. Talked with Davey Johnson, first game of the series. There's Steve McCaddy, the pitching coach.
Well, remember the other day when the report was that Ryan Dempster had been traded to the Braves. That's now off, and the Braves now say they're moving on, as Dempster did not approve that deal, if indeed it ever went down. Well, the Nats were very interested in Dempster to potentially take Strasburg's spot when he is shut down. And, you know, Strasburg with his outing today is at 115 innings, so that is rapidly approaching. Maybe 8, 9 more starts.
Well, if they go with a 6-inning clip, and I have a feeling they're going to try to max out as many starts as they can from him, because their bullpen's been solid. So I think from this point on, 6 is going to be his limit.
But, you know, what do you do today? He's at 64 pitches in the 5th inning.
And he's getting better right now.
Right.
If you noticed.
Totally hits one out to left, and Morris misjudged it, and it lands on the warning track and hops over the fence for a ground rule double. Well, Michael Morris misjudging the fly ball by Tolle, and Josh winds up with an opposite field 2-base hit.
Well, this should have been an F7. Morris is defensively challenged. There's a 2-seam fastball. And Morris broke in, and, you know, Stratomatic, he's a 4 out there.
Which is not good.
No.
So that snaps a string of 10 in a row retired by Strasburg. Mets will try and take advantage with Andres Torres, who takes a strike. Torres struck out his first time up. Jeremy Hefner is out on deck to bat for himself. Bottom of the 5th. Mets down by a couple, having lost 5 in a row, 11 of 12. But their bullpen is so beat up. Terry, I guess, feels he can't afford to bat for Hefner. Of course, he may not get that chance anyway here with Strasburg ahead on Torres 0-2.
Strasburg just looks like he just found his rhythm. Effortless motion, throwing bullets, and really most impressive, Gary, locating his fastball in the corners.
Bounces that change up, and it's 1-2.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Get 2 #1 draft picks. This kid and Harper. It's just like reminiscent of Darryl Strawberry and when the Mets had the bottom of the heap.
Torres gets under one to right field, playable for Harper. And that retires the side. So a double and 1 left. We're through 5 now at Citi Field on a beautiful day in New York. The Nats with a 3-1 lead. Probables for the series at Arizona. Matt Harvey makes his big league debut tomorrow night against the fine rookie Wade Miley. Neese and Josh Colmenter on Friday. Chris Young against Ian Kennedy on Saturday, and R.A. Dickey matches up against Joe Saunders, the lefty, on Sunday. Let's check in with Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin.
Well, Gary, you touched on Wade Miley earlier. He has been outstanding this year, tied for the rookie lead in Major League Baseball with 11 wins with Yu Darvish. And, you know, it's a pretty interesting story. This guy wasn't supposed to make the opening day roster for the Arizona Diamondbacks. As a matter of fact, he not only had his bags packed, he had his car packed, ready to go. But Takashi Saito got hurt, and Kirk Gibson really liked his competitiveness. So he threw him on the team, put him in the bullpen, and now he's an all-star. It's been that type of year for Wade Miley. And interesting to see the matchup against Harvey. Harvey can't sleep on him, you know. Miley, 306, 2 doubles at the plate. The guy can hit. As Tejada trying to flash the leather, and the scoop. Morse retired, 1 down. Also, Miley should be a neat day for him, too. You know, he has his brother coming in on the train from Louisiana. His brother Aaron get a chance to see him pitch for the first time tomorrow. So great story in Miley, and he and Harvey the matchup tomorrow.
Tremendous play there by Tejada, and a nice scoop on the other end by Davis.
Tough in between hop, just pure reaction. Nice scoop by Ike.
So 1 out. And Danny Espinosa, the batter. Talking about the Diamondbacks, you know, they've been counted out a few times this year, but you look up today, they've won 5 straight games. After beating Colorado last night, they've scored 45 runs in those 5 games. And they're now just 6 games behind the Giants out west and 4 games out on the wild card.
And they got over 500. That's the first step. They've been kind of around that 500 mark. The first step is always to get above 500, then work from there.
Yeah, their pitching has been so-so. Ian Kennedy hasn't had nearly the year that he had last year, and Daniel Hudson has been hurt. But they've patched together their rotation now, and Miley's had a lot to do with that. Joe Saunders has pitched very well, particularly lately. Their bullpen's been pretty good with J.J. Putz at the end. They made a very interesting move yesterday because Ryan Roberts became like a folk hero there last year, you know, Tat Man. But they traded him away to Tampa Bay yesterday to make room for a rookie third baseman in Ryan Wheeler, who they're going to call up and play there, who was having tremendous numbers, in fact 90 RBIs in AAA this year.
We'll get a chance to
Reno.
We'll get a chance to see him. Now Reno's in that high altitude up there in the Sierra Nevadas.
But still 90 RBIs in late July.
You can get a quick divorce up there too, guy.
Really?
Yes.
You don't know that from personal experience, do you? 2-2 to Espinosa, and he bounces one foul. Ramon Ramirez up in the Mets bullpen. Hefner is due to lead off for the Mets in the bottom of the 6th.
Interesting. Ramon throwing long.
Hefner filling a spot in the Mets rotation today. Mets, of course, are down 2 starters with Dylan G probably out for the year and Santana on the shelf for a couple of weeks as Espinosa goes down swinging for the 2nd out. Let's check in with Chris Carlin. He's standing by with this game break. Well, things started out very well for the Brewers yesterday, only to see the Phillies score. Oh, that one went behind Bernardina. It gives Hefner a little glance.
Oh, boy.
Gosh almighty.
Ouch.
Well, you go back to 2 nights ago, and Bernardina with the spike job on Tejada. Could that have been a delayed reaction?
I don't know. Oh, and he was swinging for the downs there. I think if you're going to retaliate, you're going to retaliate in yesterday's ball game. But then again, I don't know. I don't think that that was intentional. Just doesn't happen today in today's game. And that was a head-hunting one. If it was, though, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, you rarely see a pitch thrown there.
I never approved of head-hunting. Yep.
Anyway, we were referencing the Brewers and Phillies. Phillies scored 6 runs in the bottom of the 8th last night to come back and beat Milwaukee.
The Phillies have won 7 of their last 10.
They're starting to roll a little bit. Here's Bernardina drawing a walk. And that is the first walk of the afternoon. We go back to the pitch that went behind Bernardina.
Well, here's the pitch again. Hefner looked like he got something caught there. Who knows? I don't think so.
So 2 out, a runner aboard, and here's Sandy Leon. Anyway, Hefner filling a spot in the rotation right now as the Mets are down a couple of starters, and Matt Harvey will fill that other spot with his start tomorrow night. And, you know, as the Mets have made decisions about their starters, we've talked a lot about Zach Wheeler, who's pitching down in Double-A and had been brilliant until his last start when he got beat up. Well, Wheeler got beat up again today. Played an afternoon game for Binghamton. 4 innings, 6 runs, 5 earned, 10 hits against Zach Wheeler. So that's back-to-back poor starts for Wheeler, who had been smooth sailing up until that point. And in fact, there had been a lot of talk about, with Harvey coming to the big leagues, whether Wheeler was going to be promoted to Triple-A. And that appears to be on hold right now. I think most scouts would agree that Wheeler, of all the Met pitching prospects, has the highest ceiling.
I love Harvey's stuff. I'm looking forward to tomorrow. Looking very much forward to watching him pitch.
Saw a little bit of Matt during spring training this year. And he's, he was a little amped up in his first spring training start. I'm sure he'll be a little amped up tomorrow for his big league debut. And it's ball 3 now to Leon. And I think the Mets were wise to get him here a few days early and let him get acclimated.
Yes.
A lot of times those first-time starters will arrive the day of or the day before.
Yeah, and let them get the media blitz, get it over with, then get back into routine.
And that's high, ball 4. So Hefner issues back-to-back 2-out walks. And he'll get a visit from Dan Warthen before he pitches to Strasburg. Gives us a moment to talk about the big news of the day, the continuing fire sale in Miami. What a whirlwind year it's been for the Marlins, spending all that money in the offseason, opening up their new stadium, and now they've traded away half their infield. First Omar Infante, and now Hanley Ramirez on the move going to L.A.
Well, we always felt that that was a big gamble they took in the offseason, the new stadium and the big increase in the salary. A lot of dysfunction we felt over there, and I think it's come. What's interesting is that they, a couple of weeks ago they trade for Carlos Lee, excuse me, and to bolster the offense. And now they're cutting their salaries. They also got rid of the left-hander too, the bullpen.
Well, that's true. I thought it was a great move for the Dodgers. I mean, Hanley has 2 years left on his deal. At big money, $15 million next year, $16 million the year after, and his production is way down. But it's the kind of player who, in the right environment, might get re-energized. And the Dodgers are certainly, with the money that they spent just to buy the franchise, over $2 billion, they've shown a willingness to lay out the cash to try and get a winner there. And you mentioned they get Randy Choate in that deal too. So,
well, they had if you see Burdick there up in the bullpen, and Burdick has been used a lot of late. A lot of bullpen has been used of late. They haven't been drawing in Miami either with the new stadium, the lack of parking down there. They've been very disappointing as a team.
The Dodgers give up Nate Eovaldi in that trade. We saw him the other night, 22 years old, got a good arm.
Got potential. But I think for the present, I think it's a good move for the Dodgers. Now, Hanley is not the same hitter he was when he led the league in hitting a couple years ago. He got a very bad habit, long swing. A lot of times you get a kid to shake him up a little bit in a new organization, you might turn him around and wake him up.
Strasburg down looking. Hefner bounces back from the back-to-back walks. A career-high 7 strikeouts for Hefner. Now the Mets will come up against Strasburg down 3-1. Bottom of the 6th inning, Steven Strasburg and the Nats ahead of the Mets 3-1. Strasburg has struck out 8 over the first 5 innings. He's kept his pitch count low, only 68 pitches through 5 innings. And, you know, they've been trying to marshal those innings as he gets toward his limit of 160. So you wonder how far they'll push him today.
Well, came into the game with 110 and change. He's working on 116. That's probably going to be his last inning.
By the way, did you notice the Oreo donuts that have been delivered from the good folks at Dunkin' Donuts?
Folks, this is one of the great perks of this job. Now, fortunately, I work out, but you know, if you've got a full day ahead of you, perfect. It stays with you. You can work hard all day, last you to lunch.
By the way, did you notice they not only have the regular Oreo donuts, but the cream-filled Oreo donuts?
Yeah.
Here, look at this. You got the cream-filled one.
Well, that's very innovative. And
it's like a Boston cream pie, but
the iced mocha coffee to go.
You know, you need a little pick-me-up for these day games.
That's true.
You know, they've changed the rules for day games. So, you know, you need to go to other sources for the pick-me-up.
And you finally sold me on iced coffee.
Hey, caffeine and sugar, it's a great combination. Ronnie Cedeno batting for Hefner, leading off in the home 6th. And it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Mets do not have a left-handed bat on the bench today. They started every available left-handed bat. So Cedeno getting the call here against Strasburg, who has given up just 3 hits today. And he gets Cedeno swinging at 97 miles an hour. That's 9 strikeouts for Strasburg.
Boy, oh boy. That is up and in. That is right on target. That is vintage Tom Seaver right there. Tom had a lock up and in.
Strasburg very famously struck out 14 batters in his major league debut in 2010. Talk about arriving on the scene with a bang. And verging on a double-digit strikeout game today. He's gotten Tejada twice, swinging in the first and the third. Meanwhile, Jeremy Hefner leaving after 6 innings. A very credible performance today for Jeremy as Tejada makes contact for the first time and flies one out to Harper for the second out.
Well, this has just been, he's just been running through this lineup. Well, that's the strikeout of Cedeno.
Of course, live freeze cam show you how much he stepped ball by. When you face the guys with the elite fastballs, does it make a different sound?
In the catcher's mitt?
No, the ball going by.
No. It just looks, the visual's great. The visual's wonderful. And there you go right there. And
hardest throwing starter in the big leagues this year.
Yes, sir. And the fact that he can throw an 88.8 mile an hour changeup.
There's the curveball, and it's 1-1 to Valdespin, who's 0 for 2 today. Well, Strasburg has gotten so much attention ever since the day he was drafted, and even before during his college career at San Diego State. It feels like he's been around forever, but this is only his 37th major league start.
Well, I tell you what, he's just got Serge Burdak up in the bullpen. Burdak got a day off yesterday.
And that's lined toward the middle, and Valdespin has a base hit.
Well,
Valdespin hitting the fastball right through the originator. And the Mets have their 4th hit.
And he gets David Wright up. Potential tying run, and ball out over the plate. And I'll tell you what, Valdespin is fearless. He's got a beautiful swing.
So 1 out and 1 on now, David Wright.
And I just been a little bit worried about David getting a little bit of that uppercut back lately, and we're just wondering and hoping that he's not trying to do too much during this really tough spell the Mets are going through.
It would be hard not to, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and this is a situation here where you'd want him maybe for 1 strike to try to hit the ball out of the ballpark. But after 1 strike, if you foul it back or you didn't go to hitting, and he's so strong. He's really hit 15 home runs this year. He's on a pace to hit over 20. Maybe if he gets hot, 25 without trying.
Today he's been up twice and struck out both times. That fastball misses inside, and it's 2-0.
Boy, oh boy, looked like Strasburg wanted that one. Well, now 2-0, you can kind of maybe look for a pitch.
Tying run at the plate in a 3-1 game. And David fouls back the fastball, 2-1.
Well, the big rip had a lot of plate.
By the way, interesting to note on Strasburg with the low pitch count. You know, we just showed the graphic. It's his 37th career start. He has never thrown a pitch in the 8th inning of a big league game. So they have been very protective of him, not only in terms of his season innings limit, but also within games. Steve McCatty holding the pitch counter. They show it on the board now, you know.
Yeah, but
you don't need that pitch counter.
Can't trust the board, can you?
3-1, and David half swings a foul ball, not what he wanted to be doing on 3-1.
Well, it's very interesting little body language from Strasburg there. He made 2 pitches. He didn't like the pitch he made 2-0 to David. Didn't like the pitch he made 3-1. This is a big out right here, and he knows it. This might be the out of the ball game for him.
Valdespin gets set to run. 3-2 and 2 down. And Wright takes a curveball, strike 3 call. What a hammer from Strasburg. 3rd time that David's been struck out today.
Wow.
Strasburg's 7th career 10 strikeout game. 3-1 Washington.
Big lead.
City Field, the Nationals leading the Mets 3-1. Steven Strasburg, after striking out David Wright for his 10th strikeout of the day, only up to 84 pitches through 6 innings. And perhaps Steve McCatty is saying one more.
No, you got to be happy. He's not happy with. He got himself in a little bit of trouble. We got behind Wright, but came behind 2-0 and got Wright.
While Tim Burdack comes out of the Mets bullpen after 6 very good innings from Jeremy Hefner.
And I'll say Hefner did a terrific job outside of the 2nd inning. The 2 pitches, the back-to-back solo home runs. But Burdack got a day off yesterday, 51 games as you see.
He had pitched 5 days in a row before he got that day off yesterday. Top of the order, Steve Lombardozzi takes inside. Lombardozzi 1 for 3, had a base hit up the middle in the 3rd. John Roush staying busy in the Mets bullpen with Ryan Zimmerman due up 3rd in the inning after Lombardozzi and Harper. And Lombardozzi slugs one to center field. Long run back for Torres, and he gets there. Nicely done by Torres, and a ball hit directly over his head for the first out.
Well, Torres gets a good beat. You know he's playing shallow, so he turns his back on the play. That's really routine. Nice play, but for athletes up in this level, nice play.
So 1 out. Here's Bryce Harper, who's hit the ball hard 3 times today. Double to left center in the first. He had a bullet to second that went through Murphy for an error in the third, and then lined out to Ike Davis in the fifth. And a strike called with the slider. 1-1 to Harper. Of course, Tim Burdick for most of the year has been the Mets' lone left-hand pitcher. Now he's got a running mate down there in the bullpen in Josh Edgin. One and two now to Harper. Ryan Zimmerman waiting on deck. Let's check in with Kevin.
You know, Gary, you talk about that, and Burdick has really done all he can to try and take him under his wing, help him out, things like that. But I asked Edgin, you know, your first 10 days or so here in the big leagues, what have you noticed? And he brought up something that I thought was interesting. So, you know, in the minor leagues, the scouting reports are a little bit more broad. You don't have, we have video certainly, but not what we have here. And for me, after an outing, I'd like to go in and watch video right away. I mean, I really like to see what I did right then and there because it's fresh in my mind. You know, you can do that in the minor leagues, but it takes a little bit more work and a more forward thinking. Here, you walk in the clubhouse, it's right there. Give an example. There's times I'm on the mound and I feel like I rush to pitch. And I want to go in and actually see that. I need that confirmation or denial whether I'm right or wrong. And once I see that, I know, okay, I'm going to do that again or I'm not going to do that again. Josh told me I feel like, you know, by being here, obviously you have so many veterans' minds to pick, but also with all the other scouting tools, as Harper draws a walk, you really have the ability to go and get better by just learning as much as you can, and you have all those tools available to you, guys.
Well, there's a wealth of information down in the clubhouse. Sometimes I think what is it? What's the term?
Paralysis by analysis.
Yes, paralysis by analysis.
But I think it also helps to be self-aware.
Yes, of course.
You know, if you're using the video for confirmation, then that can be, you know, an affirmation of what you already know.
I mean, Keith, think about it in non-baseball terms. Have you ever done something as a broadcaster that you didn't know you were doing until you saw it on video?
I was always told early to go home and watch the broadcast and watch other broadcasters. I was told by my director, our esteemed director, Bill Webb, and you know, you pick up on things that you see other people do that you like, and things that you don't, and then you watch yourself. The thing you got to worry about is that you're always your worst critic. So you got to be careful there.
I didn't get that feel from him, though, Keith. You know, I got the feel it was more of, you know, certain pitch he wanted to, you know, just confirmation. I didn't get the feel he's, you know, trying to overdo it just in the conversation with him. I think he was just using it as a helpful tool. But I certainly hear what you're saying.
Zimmerman hits one shallow to right, and Neuenheit's over to get it. 2 out. I think also, you know, you think about a starting pitcher and how many pitches he's throwing in an outing and how many batters he's facing and how difficult it is sometimes for him to analyze. Whereas a relief pitcher who's facing, especially a lefty specialist like Edgin, facing a batter or two at a time, you know, he's got only a very small window to get his job done, and feels, rightly so, that he has to be just about perfect every time.
Well, I think the most important thing is the human element, and you've got some veterans down there in that bullpen that to pick their brains and what they do for preparation. Guys like Burdick that Kevin talked about. You know, Ramon Ramirez has been around. Roush has been around. You know, pick their brains. That's where you mine, in my mind, where the information is.
You know, he also did say to me today that he thought spring training really helped him, because being on the big field and pitching in front of Terry Collins, he said, I got to be honest, I left it all out there. I mean, I pitched it like it was a playoff game because I really wanted to make the team, and he thought just as far as nerves go, that experience helped him.
Well, he certainly was very impressive in March, and then, you know, had his ups and downs in the minor leagues once the season began. But he has looked better and better with each outing up here. LaRoche takes a strike on the outside corner, and now LaRoche, who has already struck out 3 times today, is down to the count 1-2. So he's in danger of the dreaded golden sombrero.
Don't say it.
By the way, you cringe every time I say that. 1-2 from Burdack, and the slider's outside. Michael Morse is on deck. Roush is ready in the bullpen. Burdack facing his 4th batter already, so you figure if it gets to Morris, Roush would be in the game. It's still in a winnable position here, and Burdack trying to keep him within range. 2-2. And a high fly ball deep right field, and that is a 2-run homer for Adam LaRoche, and he has done it again. LaRoche, who has just crushed the Mets with big home runs all year long, takes Burdack deep for a 2-run shot to make it 5-1.
Well, that is the harpoon, and that is going to bring Terry Collins out. That is the 19th home run, career home run against the Mets by Mr. LaRoche. Most against any opponent. Fastball right down the middle, wheelhouse, and there's no doubt.
18th of the year for LaRoche, and it's the 6th home run now that he's hit at Citi Field, which ties him for the most of any visiting player. Call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon Wireless. Win Mets memorabilia from Verizon at Mets.com/Verizon Sweeps. John Roush coming in with the Mets down 5-1 in the 7th. John Roush comes out of the bullpen to try and get the last out in the 7th. John pitched in the opening game of the series, retired his only batter. Now facing Michael Morse, who takes inside 2-0. Morse homered back in the 2nd inning, an opposite field shot. Got robbed of a hit on a terrific play by Ruben Tejada his last time up. Morse 1 for 3 on the day. But Adam LaRoche's 2-run homer has taken a lot of the air out of the building today, as the Mets trying to win for the only time on this homestand, as the Mets let that ball roll, hoping it would spin fair. It did not.
Oh, the Mets have just been hurt with the long ball in this series.
LaRoche, we mentioned, tying Raul Ibanez and Chase Utley for the most home runs by a visiting player at Citi Field. Only the second home run Tim Burdach's allowed this season. And Morris fouls one away. 2-2. Well, the Mets have not had an 0-6 homestand since August of 2002. And now they find themselves in a 4-run hole on the verge of an 0-6 homestand.
Their worst homestand was back in '79.
Morris gets under one to right center field, and Torres drifts over with the sunglasses on and puts it away to retire the side. But Adam LaRoche with another bomb, his 18th of the year, his second 2-run homer in the last 2 days. After striking out his first 3 times, LaRoche strikes back. 5-1 Washington. We go to the bottom of the 7th inning. The Mets now down 5-1. Steven Strasburg remains out there for the 7th. Having thrown only 84 pitches today, Ike Davis has accounted for the only Met run with a first pitch home run back in the 2nd, his 16th of the year. The Nats have hit 3 home runs today. Most recently, the 2-run shot by LaRoche to make it a 4-run deficit for New York, and a skimmer down to 3rd. Zimmerman throwing on the run to get Davis one away. Well, let's go back to the home run and watch. This is right before the pitch. See Tolley looking in the dugout and then flashing signs.
Fastball away, and you put it down 3 times. And you got the, probably we're assuming you got the pitch from the dugout. And there's a home run, but the ball's not located. It's down the middle.
Tolley wanted the fastball away. Burdach threw the fastball in the middle of the plate, and Burdach clearly unhappy about the entire thing. So it looked there as though Tolley had to be insistent about the fastball because the call was coming from the bench. And then after the inning was over, Tolley comes in the dugout.
And Burdach looks apparently like he's apologizing. And you know what? This is a frustrating homestand. It's gone miserably for this team, and the frustrations are there. And you know, you apologize. You know, Tolley is a guy that takes it easy. He's the guy that rolls off his back.
Murphy gets under one to right field, chasing Harper back to the warning track, but he has room to make the catch. 2 out. Now, after Burdach spoke to Tolley, Dan Warthen called him over, and clearly Burdach was still upset about the entire sequence of events. David Wright comes over to try and calm the situation a little bit, but clearly Burdick was not happy with the fact that he was asked to throw that pitch in that spot. And you know, we've talked to Ronnie about this and to other pitchers from time to time, that for a pitcher, the most important pitch he can throw is the one that he's committed to. And that Burdick clearly didn't want to throw that pitch in that spot.
It appears that way, yes. And when you throw a pitch you're not 100% behind, that's the point, and you make a mistake.
And I guess the question is then, what is Tolley's responsibility at that point? If the bench calls a pitch and he calls for it twice and Burdick shakes it off twice, is it Tolley's responsibility at that point to follow the coaching staff's instructions or to cater to his pitcher?
Tolley's going to follow. He's not a veteran. Tolley's going to follow the coaching staff. Burdick could step off, call Tolley out and say, I don't want to throw that pitch. I want to throw a slider. Now, we're speculating here.
Right.
But those are the two ends of it right there. But you know, Burdick went up and apologized to Tolley, it seemed, and that's fine. It's a lot of frustration going on in this homestand. I mean, they're on the verge of having a winless homestand and really falling out of contention, having only won one game since the All-Star break. You know, it takes its toll. And these things happen. Frustrations happen.
Neuenhuis goes down on strikes. That's 11 strikeouts for Steven Strasburg as he continues to dominate on a Wednesday afternoon in New York. 5-1 Washington. Comes into play left field. He'll bat ninth. Jordani Valdespin moves from left field to right field. And the new Met pitcher is Elvin Ramirez. He'll hit in the 6 hole.
Well, Ramirez recently called up, taking the spot of Pedro Beato. And when the Mets made those moves a couple days ago, and he's a hard thrower. You see the walks. That's what's alarming. He's young, got good stuff, 8 innings of work. He just has to throw strikes.
Elvin faced 2 batters in the opening game of the series and retired them both, one with a strikeout. And he'll come in here in the 8th inning to face Danny Espinosa. Up in the bullpen for the Nats, couple of right-handers, Henry Rodriguez on the right and Craig Stammen on the left. Let's answer our AT&T trivia question. We asked who was the Mets manager before Davey Johnson, and that would be Hondo.
Big Frank. All 6'8" of Frank.
Hondo took over for George Bamberger during that 1983 season when Bambi decided to go fishing.
I remember.
Were you here when Bambi left?
No. But I remember reading about it in St. Louis.
Danny Espinosa leads off the 8th. And Espinosa having a big day with a home run and a double. He's had a big series, 5 hits and 12 at bats, including 3 extra base hits. It'll be Espinosa, then Bernardina and Leon for the Nats, who are seeking to beat the Mets for the 9th time in 12 games this year. Mets will be back in D.C. the 3rd week in August. And a good changeup by Ramirez, and it's 0-2.
Let's get some out-of-town scores here. Atlanta's beaten up on Miami in the 5th, 5-1.
I wonder what the mood is like in that Marlins clubhouse now. They trade away Infante. They trade away Anibal Sanchez today. They trade away Hanley Ramirez. After all the build-up to the season, to kind of have the fire sale going on out from under you.
I don't see anybody there with any kind of leadership skills to lead that team forward.
Well, especially, you know, when you have a manager who, for all his skills as a manager, is obviously volatile. You need somebody to be the calming influence. And behind the bag to Davis, and Espinosa retired, 1 away. Let's check in with the studio. Chris Carlin is there with this game break. Tommy Hanson working on that game for the Braves, who started the day 4.5 behind the Nationals in the NL East, and the Braves right now in that second wild card spot. Roger Bernardina pulling off the changeup, 0-1. Right now the Pirates have the #1 wild card spot. The Braves have the second one, with the Dodgers a half game back. So the second wild card is starting to shape up, and race is becoming a little more defined as we approach the trading deadline, 6 days away, and certainly plenty of action since. There you see the way the wild card stacks up right now. The Cardinals 2 out, the Diamondbacks just 4 behind that second spot. Your Dunkin' Donuts standings. And Elvin Ramirez gets ahead on Bernardina, 1-2. Jeremy Hefner went 6 innings for the Mets today, allowed 3 runs, 2 of them earned, 6 hits, 2 walks, a career high 7 strikeouts. All in all, a good day for Hefner, despite giving up back-to-back home runs to Morris and Espinosa in the second. Two and 2 to Bernardino, who saw one buzz behind his head in the last inning. Well, Strasburg is done again before pitching in the 8th. He hasn't thrown a pitch in the 8th inning of a big league start yet.
How does he feel? First place team, chance to go into postseason, and he knows that they're about to cut him out, cut the legs out from under him.
Swing and a miss, and Ramirez has a strikeout as he fans Bernardina. I don't know, Keith, and you know, Strasburg is a man of very few words, plays it very close to the vest, but I will tell you this. They've talked extensively to Jordan Zimmerman, who was on a similar innings limit last year, and of course the circumstances were different because the Nats weren't in the race, and Zimmerman feels as though it's the best thing they could have done for him. And now he's come back and had a tremendous year this year.
And that's exactly what Davey told me in the clubhouse. That worked for Zimmerman.
Well, I asked the question again, are they going to have a limit on Zimmerman this year? Because if they stay in the race all year, go to the postseason, he's going to be well beyond 190, 200 innings after being held to 160 last year. And do they want that kind of innings jump for him? Ramirez throwing hard, gets even on Leon, 1-1. Strasburg struck out 11 today, his 7th career double-digit strikeout game. Mets have managed just 1 run in 13 innings against Strasburg this year. 1-2 now to Leon. Corey Brown has come out on deck. He'll pinch hit for Strasburg if Leon keeps the inning going. The Nationals 5 runs and 7 hits. 3 of their 7 hits have been home runs. Morris and Espinosa back-to-back in the second. LaRoche with the 2-run shot off Burdack in the 7th. Mets 1 run and 4 hits. Craig Stammen, Henry Rodriguez both throwing in the bullpen. Only one can come in.
Let's hope it's the one on the left.
Well, Rodriguez has trouble throwing strikes sometimes.
There's a long flight ahead of us. The Valley of the Sun is calling us.
That's a lot of sun.
I'm looking forward to it. I haven't been back in the desert in a long time.
It's only going to be 105 tomorrow. Yeah, you never go to Phoenix.
I've never not been. I always thought. I always request Denver because of my kids, and San Francisco because of my brother, and Ronnie always wants Los Angeles.
There's ball 4, and Leona's on.
And Phoenix.
We'll talk more about your travel preferences in a moment. First, let's tell you that New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Toyota. When you choose Toyota, you get a lot for less. Toyota. By Dunkin' Donuts. America runs on Dunkin'. And by the Hospital for Special Surgery. So, the question remains: how did you get Phoenix this year? Was it up for grabs?
I always accept my schedule that is meted out by Mr. Gowdy.
So you never question authority?
No. Question? No. Heck no. I'm not.
Corey Brown rips one on a beautiful stop by Davis for the 3rd out. Well, that was a wicked hop, and Davis staying with it on the backhand to make the play on Corey Brown and get Elvin Ramirez through the 8th. Fact is brought to you by Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. Tom Seaver, 171 complete games with the Mets, and in the last 20 years the Mets as a team have thrown fewer than that. Boy, the game has changed.
Oh, certainly.
And Strasburg, perfect example of that. 94 pitches, 7 innings, dominating performance. He's out of the game, and Henry Rodriguez will pitch the 8th.
Well, we got him from the trade of Oakland. I believe they sent Josh Willingham over in that trade, who, by the way, is having a fine season, Josh Willingham.
With Minnesota, and you wonder whether he's going to get dealt before the deadline this year.
You can see Rodriguez, always the strikeouts are up, but the walks are up. Just a matter of him throwing strikes. He has got electric stuff. Great fastball, great breaking ball, but can't find the dish.
Got to be patient with him. Josh Tolley, Andres Torres, and Scott Hairston, the 3 scheduled hitters for the Mets in the bottom of the 8th. Strasburg went 7, a lot of run on 4 hits, no walks, 11 strikeouts, gave up the home run to Ike Davis, and that's it. Tolley tonight 1 for 2. Hit a fly ball double that eluded Mike Morse in left field in the 5th inning. In Pittsburgh this afternoon, Neil Walker and Mike McHenry have homered, and the Pirates have gone in front of the Cubs 3-2 after the Cubs took the first 2 games of that series. Pittsburgh's fallen 2.5 behind Cincinnati in the NL Central. The Reds just continue to win even without Joey Votto. Votto's been out for a couple of weeks now, and the Reds have stayed hot. They've won 6 in a row now.
And 17 above 500.
Last night they had to come from behind, score 3 in the 9th. Drew Stubbs hit the big home run to beat Houston. By the way, the Astros have basically traded off every financial obligation they have. The only player that they have any money committed to for next year is a guy they've traded, and that's Wandy Rodriguez, who went to the Pirates. There's ball 4 to Tolley. And we haven't spoken about that trade. You know, Wandy's a guy who's been on the trading block a number of times during his Houston career, and they finally made the move and dealt him to Pittsburgh, which bolsters an already strong Pirates rotation.
Good move for the Pirates.
And it's nice to see that, you know, after all the losing years in Pittsburgh, for them to be in a position to make that deadline move to try to improve their team.
I do not think Davey's going to stay long with Rodriguez if he walks another batter.
Well, he's thrown 5 pitches now. They've all been out of the strike zone, so Craig Stammen will stay busy in the bullpen.
Stammen has been outstanding out of that bullpen, and this is his last man, particularly if he gives up a base hit or a walk.
We'll get a visit from Steve McCatty before he continues pitching to Torres. Coming up tonight, Geico Sports Night at 10:30. Zach Wheeler and Frank Francisco both pitching for Binghamton today. Neither one doing particularly well. We'll have highlights from around the National League East, including the signing of Hamels, the trade of Hanley Ramirez, and local Olympic hopefuls. Opening ceremonies Friday night, right? It's coming up. All on Geico Sports Night, 10:30 tonight on SNY. Francisco went 2/3 of an inning today in his rehab assignment. Gave up 3 hits and a walk. Struck out 1. Gave up a run. The hope was that Frank would need only 2 rehab assignments and then join the Mets this weekend in Arizona, but that remains to be seen. Of course, he had the oblique injury and then had some trouble with his knee as well. Torres is 0 for 2 today, and Rodriguez still hasn't thrown a strike.
Every time I see a pitcher like Rodriguez, great stuff, and can't find a plate, I think of Sandy Koufax. Everybody knows that Sandy was wild as a March hare and early in his career, and I remember my dad told me that he was a fireman, and he got stationed at Candlestick for a series. The Dodgers were in town, and so he watched batting practice. And he said it was cold. Mets got something going here. 3-1. And Koufax was throwing batting practice early to all the Dodger hitters. Some of the Dodger hitters, and he was breaking everybody's bats. And it was freezing cold. No one wanted to hit off of it.
Well, you know, Koufax signed with the Dodgers back before there was a draft, like we were talking about with Ralph earlier. And he was a bonus baby. In those days, if you got a bonus, I think over $6,000, they had to put you directly in the major leagues. It was in 1955, and you know, for the first 4 or 5 years that Koufax was with the Dodgers, Walter Alston wouldn't pitch him. Here's the 3-2, and Torres just got a piece of it. And when he did pitch him, of course, his command was less than stellar. And it wasn't until really the 1961 season, when he was 6-7 years deep in his career, that he
found it.
Well, he found it with the help of Norm Sherry, who was his catcher during spring training, who basically just told him to relax and not try and throw the ball so hard. And from that point on, Koufax kicked it in.
Oh boy.
That's ball 4, and so the Mets have the first 2 men on in the 8th inning, thanks to Henry Rodriguez.
And here comes Davey.
Well, you can't watch that for long. He took the gamble that Henry would be able to throw strikes today. He did not, so he'll take his exit, and Craig Stammen will come in to relieve him. So the Mets trying to put something together in the 8th inning. They have the first 2 men on. Nats go to the bullpen. We'll be right back to Citi Field. Super Slow Motion is brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Visit them on the web at searchmercedes.com. How about that curveball from Strasburg to right?
Oh, boy.
That was nasty. Craig Stammen comes on to relief for the Nats. Stammen has found a home in relief after struggling as a starter. Tolley at second, Torres at first with nobody out. Scott Hairston up for the first time, came in a double switch in the last inning. Mets need one more base runner to get the tying run to the plate here in the 8th. Trailing 5-1. And Hairston first pitch swinging, fouls one back. Ruben Tejada on deck, Jordani Valdespin behind him. And the Mets trying to build an inning here in the 8th inning. This entire homestand has been a fight from behind for the Mets. They've yet to get over the hump. They didn't even have a lead on the homestand until yesterday when they took a brief 1-0 lead.
He's coming right after him with fastballs up in the strike zone, too.
Normally, Stammen more of a ground ball pitcher. Have seen plenty of stamina over the last few years. Hairston 0 for 2 against him. Now the 0-2 to Scott, and he lays off the slider. 1-2. Now the 1-2 and the slider. He stopped the swing and he held it in time. Darrell Cousins with the call, and it's 2-2 to Hairston.
And no good eye right here. Notice how Hairston's way in front of the box. That's very rare you see that. And he's not a guy that's widespread with his stance. Feet are about normal today's game, but way in front of the plate.
2-2 now to Hairston. And Scott lays off another one. Fastball away, and it's 3-2. So some good plate discipline here by Hairston to get it from 0-2 to 3-2. Henry Rodriguez putting the first 2 men on via the walk. Ruben Tejada waiting on deck. That's looking to build an inning here in the 8th. And they've done it with patience. 3-2 now to Hairston with nobody out. And he takes it high, and the bases are loaded. So Stammen got ahead of Hairston 0-2. He loses him to a walk. 3 straight free passes, and the Mets will get the tying run to the plate here in the 8th. And that'll get the lefty Sean Burnett up quickly in the Nationals bullpen. Well, Strasburg did not walk a batter in 7 innings. He leaves, and the first 3 batters in the 8th inning all get on via the walk.
Well, more importantly, David Wright will come to the plate. There's not a double play hit. This is just unforgivable. A 4-run lead and 3 walks. And you see the defense right there. Their double play depth.
Tejada today is 0 for 3. Struck out twice and flied to right. Returning to the lineup after getting spiked on Monday night. Big chance here. Bases loaded, nobody out. And Ruben takes a slider for a strike. Valdespin on deck, right behind him. Tejada the tying run at the plate. It's been exactly 600 at bats since his last home run. He hits this one out to center. Charging hard is Bernardina to pick it off, and no break from third by the slow-footed Tolley. That's the first out. So Tejada's retired. The bases remain loaded with one away.
Well, Bernardino can cover ground. He covered that one quickly. And now it sets the stage for the young red-hot Valdespin. And I figured Davey might not take a chance with a right-hander out there. Looks like he's going to go to the bullpen and bring in Mike Gonzalez, the lefty.
I think it's Burnett. Sean Burnett.
Oh, excuse me.
He'll come in to face Valdespin. So Stammen faces two batters. He'll exit. Nats will go to their third reliever of the inning. We'll be right back.
Well, he's been solid out of that bullpen. The numbers do not lie. Pitched last night's ball game, did a fine job. And Valdespin comes up. He's 18 at bats against left-handers. Drew Storen up in the bullpen. He'll face David Wright for sure.
So it's a one-batter assignment for Burnett in all probability. Bases loaded, one out, tying run at the plate, and Valdespin, first pitch swinging, dribbles one. Burnett makes the tag for the out as a run comes in. So Tolle scores on the ground out by Valdespin, and now it's 5-2.
Well, Burnett here barehands it, a little risky, excuse me. How's my French got in there?
That's a whole other topic. So now runners at second and third. Wright comes up as the tying run, and it looks like Davey's going to make the move to store it.
Absolutely.
So the fourth relief pitcher of the inning will be brought in. Rodriguez, Stammen, Burnett, and now the former closer Storen, in all probability, will be called in to face David Wright. So, just one pitch gets it out. 5-2 Nats in the eighth. We'll be right back. Drew Storen comes in to try and get one batter in the 8th inning.
No, we got a rematch here with the first game of the series. If you recall, he got David Wright to fly out to deep center field. That was in that 7th inning of that ball game. Remember, he buzzed him up and in the first pitch. So, rematch.
Storen missed the first 3+ months of the season, had bone chips removed from his elbow in spring training, and so just working his way back as a 7th and 8th inning guy, with Tyler Clippers still doing the closing. Wright comes to bat as the tying run in the 8th inning. David came up 3 times against Steven Strasburg and struck out all 3. Torres at third, Hairston at second, and 2 down. 5-2 Nats, 8th inning. David 1 for 11 in this series. The one was a home run. And again, Storen, this time with a breaking ball, comes inside to Wright to start him off. Let's see the numbers for David with 2 outs and runners in scoring position. As a team, the Mets have been by far the best in the National League this year in these spots. And another breaking ball, and that misses. 2-0. You got Ike Davis on deck. So they've got the lefty Mike Gonzalez getting ready for him.
Yeah, that could be ready for Ike, is right. So it could be a bunch of moves.
A 5 reliever inning for Davey Johnson.
Yep.
An inning in which the Mets have scored 1 and are looking for a whole lot more. And David takes a 3rd straight breaking ball for a strike. 2-1.
He better be careful with that breaking ball. It's a little lazy.
With that fly ball David hit deep to center against Storen the other night. He's 0 for 6 against him now in his career as Bobby Parnell gets up in the Mets bullpen. Now the 2-1 from Storen, and Wright grounds one down to Zimmerman. Handles the big hop and throws him out to end the inning. Ball came up on Zimmerman, but he makes the play. Mets managed just 1 run with 3 walks and trail 5-2 after 8.
You know, anytime you've been around a guy like this who knows he can compete, knows what kind of stuff he has, great confidence. You know, and I don't mean to. There's a fine line between, you know, being boastful and being very confident. This kid's very confident in what he can do and what he has to do. That's why I think even the games in Buffalo, he knows when when his fastball's on and his command of his fastball is on, that he doesn't necessarily need his secondary pitches at that particular point. Same thing will happen here. there'll be nights when, you know what, his command will be off the charts. Say, hey, look, until they start making adjustments, I'm going to stay with my strengths, a la Johan Santana. His makeup reminds me of Johan's, the way he competes. So I'm not concerned about it. Obviously, there'll be some times that he'll have to get through some rough times, but, hey, look, you got to learn how to do it up here. And that's why, when we decided we were going to try to bring him up, we really did not want it to be here necessarily. The next choice was Arizona, but it's the major leagues. You can't worry about the park or the lineup because eventually you're going to have to pitch in every park and against every team.
And tomorrow, Terry Collins gets to watch with the rest of us as Matt Harvey makes his major league debut at Chase Field in Phoenix against the Diamondbacks.
Looking forward to it. Good pitching matchup also.
And I think it's important. We talked about, Harvey's going to face tough times in the big leagues like every rookie pitcher does, but he has fought through some tough times at every level he's pitched in the minor leagues. He struggled at Double-A at times last year, fought through it, struggled at Triple-A this year, and took his game to the next level. He's still working on his secondary pitches. He's got 2 outstanding breaking balls, but his changeup's a work in progress. But Harvey, as Terry said, very confident in that changeup. It'll be interesting to see how he handles that first outing tomorrow night. Davis makes the play on Lombardozzi for the first out in the top of the 9th. Let's check in with the studio. Preview WB Mason post-game live with Chris Carlin and Bobby Ojeda, guys. All right, Bryce Harper now, speaking of young players, steps in. He has hit 3 bullets and drawn a walk today. 1 for 3. And he hits a ground ball for Murphy on the backhand. The quick toss on target to Davis for the second out. So Elvin Ramirez, 2 quick outs. 2 brothers with different opinions.
How about that?
You can't say that either one of them is wrong. Here's Ryan Zimmerman, who's gone 0 for 4 today. A rare off day at the plate for Zimmerman in the month of July. Tyler Clippard, who got the save last night, getting ready for another try today, with Ike Davis set to lead off in the bottom of the 9th. And Zimmerman pops one up, shallow left field, and on comes Hairston to call. And that retires the side. 1-2-3 inning for Elvin Ramirez. He throws 2 hitless innings. Mets down 5-2 as they come to bat. Subscribe to MLB.tv today to see every Mets out-of-market game live online and on your favorite devices in HD quality. Visit Mets.com to order and get more details. MLB.tv, baseball everywhere. Tyler Clippard, who earned his 17th save last night, goes for number 18 today.
Well, he's been touched up a little bit. Mets touched him up in Washington in that series, the last series there recently, and Braves got to him, but he's throwing more breaking balls now. He's got a great breaking ball, very good breaking ball, I should say. And he became kind of a two-pitch pitcher. He fell in love with the change. Yesterday, in the save situation, threw a lot of curves, Garrett, was successful.
Got a couple of strikeouts and a comebacker from Ike Davis to work a 1-2 3/9 last night. They'll get Davis, Murphy, and a pinch hitter for the pitcher in the 9th inning today. Ike Davis responsible for the only Met run today. He hit a bullet home run to right field against Steven Strasburg in the 2nd inning. As Clippard gets set to start the 9th. And Ike first pitch swinging at the changeup, 0-1. Well, Steven Strasburg went 7 brilliant innings. Then Davey Johnson used 4 relievers to get through a 1-run 8th. And now Clippard trying to finish it off for the Nats as they go for the sweep of the Mets and try and deal the Mets their first 0-6 homestand in 10 years. And quickly Clippard ahead on Davis, 0-2. The Nats with a win today would go 19 games over 500. As they continue to establish new benchmarks for the team since they moved from Montreal in 2005. It's funny, when this homestand began, I remember we talked about how coming off a difficult road trip to start the second half, it might be a tonic for the Mets to be home. Well, right now, maybe it'll be a tonic for them to be away.
Yep. What a difference a week makes.
Swing and a miss, and Clippard with the fastball strikes out Davis for the first out of the 9th.
Ike's been having trouble catching up with the fastball, and that's thrown right by him. It's his 93rd strikeout of the year.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now Daniel Murphy, who's 1 for 3 today. Well, unless the Mets get another turn, Ike Davis's very strange home streak will continue. Ike had a home run today. In fact, he's hit in 7 straight games. But Ike, in the last 49 games that he has started at Citi Field, has not had more than 1 hit in any of them. Think about that. 49 games at home in a row without having more than 1 hit. That is the longest by far in Mets history. Wayne Garrett had the longest previous streak of 35 straight games back in 1969 and 70, and it's the longest streak for any major league position player of its kind since 1991. The last player to have as long a streak of home starts with no more than 1 hit was the Mets' current bench coach, Bob Guerin, as a Yankee in 1990 and 91, 50 straight starts at home with no more than 1 hit. How odd. 2-1 to Murphy, who's 1 for 3 on the day. And he shoots 1 foul, 2-2.
It's important to know, you talk about Wayne Garrett. Wayne played 1 year with me in St. Louis. That year in '69, Wayne Garrett did hit 200. He was hit 190 something or 170.
He was a kid.
Yep.
But he shared third base with Ed Charles that year as Bill Hodges platooned at 5 different positions. Murphy hits 1 out to right center, and Bernardina drifting over. And that's the 2nd out. So the Mets are down to their final out of the homestand. And Justin Turner will come up to pinch hit. Turner's had 3 at-bats in this series, gone 0 for 3. It's been a rough week for everybody. In that dugout, in the front office. Mets have gone from being buyers to probably not doing much at the trading deadline because of their abrupt change in circumstances. About to lose for the 12th time in their last 13 games. 2 out and nobody on for Turner. And Justin takes high. Ball 1. Even R.A. Dickey's winning streak is no more after going more than 3 months without a loss. And Turner takes inside. 2-0. If Turner can keep it going, Josh Tolley would be next. Now Clippard's 2-0, and that dents the outside corner. 2-1. And now the Mets are down to their final strike. While the Mets go to Arizona, the Nationals move on to Milwaukee for 4, where they open the series with the Brewers tomorrow night. Brewers have lost 5 straight going into their game today in Philadelphia, and they're down 5-2 today. Here's the 2-2 to Turner, and it's taken high, a full count. Meanwhile, the Mets will be going to Arizona to play a Diamondbacks team that is hot. They've won 5 straight heading into their game tonight at home against Colorado.
Well, you got to hope the old adage holds here, and you hit the, you only go so low. Whoa!
Clippard stumbling. No harm done as long as he's not hurt. If there was a man on base, it would be a balk.
His flat foot there.
That can be disconcerting. So Clippard trying to put on the finishing touches without falling down. 3-2, and Turner pops it foul. Again, the 3-2, and Turner pokes it toward the middle of the diamond. Lombardozzi bobbles, throws, got him, and the ball game is over. Clippard pitches a 1-2-3 ninth. Fine play by Lombardozzi to end it. A dominating performance by Steven Strasburg today as the Mets finish an 0-6 homestand for the first time in 10 years. They've now lost 12 of their last 13 games as the Nats win it today 5-2 to sweep the series.
And 1 win since the All-Star break. 1-11 since the break, and over the course of this homestand, they dropped 4.5 games in the standings to the Nationals. The Nationals come in here and do the job. Jeremy Hefner did a fine job pitching, 6 innings, 3 runs, 2 earned, but just too much. Steven Strasburg goes to 11-4 in 7 innings. Gary, 94 pitches, 11 strikeouts.
Game summary presented by New York Community Bank. Michael Morris, Danny Espinosa, and Adam LaRoche all with home runs as the Nationals defeat the Mets and drop the Mets 4 games under 500 as their free fall continues, having lost 12 of their last 13. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Visit them on the web at searchmercedes.com. By Subway, eat fresh. By Hyundai, new Hyundai owners are talking about their cars in the booth. By Cholula Hot Sauce, the flavorful hot sauce with the iconic wooden cap. By the all-new Mazda CX-5 with 35 highway miles per gallon. And by New York State, discover what you love. Plan your vacation now. Nationals win it 5-2 to sweep this series. Now the Mets move on to the road. They go to Arizona, where Matt Harvey makes his major league debut tomorrow night against the Diamondbacks. Our coverage begins 9 o'clock from Chase Field tomorrow night. Now for Keith Hernandez, Ralph Kiner, Kevin Burkhardt, and our entire SNY crew. I'm Gary Cohen at Citi Field. Time for WB Mason Postgame Live. Let's join Chris and Bobby in the studio, guys.